Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I wanted to hang out with you mamas and spend this week talking a lot about what we're welcoming into our homeschool and what we are saying goodbye to. We will, for this first part, I wanted to share more from a heart posture status of what I want to welcome and get rid of. And then tomorrow, you guys will check out how I'm preparing with inventory and what is it going to look like as we completely finish and fade out this homeschooling year into the next one. And so if you'd like to hear more, then let's get started. Hey you, did you hit that play button for the very first time? Well, welcome to the channel. I'm Tasha. This is Tasha Pivots, where we talk about all things mamahood and homeschool and how I'm pivoting through this journey. And I so appreciate you, to those returning, my subscribers, those who love watching. Thank you so much for being here. So I've been like sitting and really chewing on this idea of like preparation, but also just reflection and clarity of like, what do I want to see different in homeschool for my family, and hopefully as an encouraging thought for you to take the time to do for yours. Oftentimes we find ourselves in this reflection mode when we get closer to the next homeschooling year or when we're in a break time. And instead, for me, because a lot of different changes and transitions are going to be happening a lot sooner, I want to take this time where I'm not divided on anything, I'm not being pulled in any direction, to really just start to, in a sense, center myself and start having those in-depth thoughts of like, what is working? What is something I feel I'm gravitating to, or our family is gravitating to? And what are those things that I can say, you know what, it just didn't work out for us in this season and in this time of our learning experience, that I can go ahead and say goodbye to. So I have notes. You'll see me kind of look down a bit because I can't remember everything, especially with this pregnancy brain. But I want to start with the welcoming things before I tell you all the things that I'm saying bye to. The first one may not be as surprising as I shared with you guys what my 2022 goals were at the beginning of the year. And I feel like it falls right in line with the homeschool. And that is just a simple routine. Part of that is because of the fact that life is not going to look the same in a couple of weeks. And I want my children to still feel like they are being seen, they're being heard, they're being cared for, not just in the everyday in and out of just motherhood and home life, but also in their education. And so I have already started this process of very like simplifying everything. And I really looked at it as a full routine, and how I block it out in a way is like, we have our morning, we have our midday, and then we have our evening. And some things we do pretty much every single day, and it just falls in line. Like my kids know when they get up in the morning, it's getting dressed, making their beds, and then they will come and do, or they'll play for a little bit, and then they'll go and do some Bible time. And then we do breakfast, and then they go ahead and start the first half of homeschool. And so I think that that's for the most part worked, and it's been really great. But I want to simplify it even more. And I know that sounds crazy because you're like, oh, that's not too bad. And maybe not. Maybe you're like, that's a lot. But for us, we start school around 9:30. And we do breakfast around 8:30 to 9:30. And that's all the full thing, from me making it to sitting down, eating, and then cleaning up, brushing our teeth, and like being ready to sit at the table. And so I just felt like I want to use a time block in the system, in the sense of it might be interchangeable. You know, right now this works. It's very fluid. It's very calm. My kids get to gently wake up on their own. I'm not forcing them to get up. They have time to simply play or already go right into their morning Bible time, whatever it works for them. And I love that, because while I may be feeding and nursing or changing baby, or just trying to get baby to go back down before I start some time with them, or if I'm trying to cook and do whatever that looks like, I just really gravitate to simple, and just making things a lot simpler. Okay, so number two is less is more. And this, again, shouldn't be too surprising if you've been with me for a while. You saw in December, I did a huge purging and a huge declutter of my home and of our homeschooling space. And I could get rid of more, honestly, but I think overall it's a lot more, it functions a lot better, and it feels lighter for us. And I'm sure we'll have another one of those in the future. But with homeschool, less is more is huge to me, because when you get into this realm of homeschool, you want to feel that you need to have everything. You need a plethora of resources. You need a full library. You need all of the Montessori or physical, tangible things to teach our kids. And, all of it is wonderful. I have beautiful social media acquaintances that have all these beautiful dynamic ways that they're allowing your children to see and learn, and through manipulatives and all kind of things. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I just know that for me and for my home at this time, less is more. My kids having the resource for what we're actually studying is all they need. I don't need to have a full physical library. They pretty much still do. Honestly, I'm looking at it from where I'm sitting. They still have a pretty decent plethora of a library, but no longer am I feeling the pressure for excess. And so I, through minimal approach, allowing my children to thrive with their wonder and imagination, and having them utilize their own brain and their own thoughts to build things, is what I'm kind of going towards in our homeschool. Less of them needing to feel like they need something to reach out to in order to get an answer, but more so like actually think about it, write it out, talk about it, discuss it. And so I'm feeling leaning and pouring into welcoming that into our homeschool. And then the third one is space. It's not so much as that getting more space, but giving my children the space to learn. And what I mean by that is, oftentimes we can feel like we need to be in a designated space in order to do and have an education or a learning activity, or to just do even our book work. And I just feel like removing the table time 2 days a week. I really enjoy having table time because I like having my kids close to me and like we can see everything on the table. But I want to allow them to explore throughout the house. I want to start to trust them that if they don't want to just do it at the table, if they want to come into the living room, or even my oldest, she's getting older, and certain things she may need more silence. Trusting and giving her that space and just gently giving her that time. And that's what I'm going to be welcoming into our homeschool moving forward, because it is going to look very different. I just keep seeing that. Like, I see me maybe sitting on the couch nursing the baby, and Josephine's doing something on the floor with her numbers or her busy book, and Zoe's sitting on this chair that I'm sitting in right now, and she's just in her reading time. And I just want them to know that like learning is not only going to be designated at that table, and it's not going to just be designated in our home. There will be park days where we'll do school at the park. There will be, and I feel like we used to do these things, right? But of course, with the changes in the world and the changes in our home, we've kind of peeled back. So those are my three that I really want to welcome in: simplicity, less is more, and space. And then moving on to what am I saying goodbye to? Number one is unrealistic expectations for myself and for my children. Whether we want to say that we do or we don't, we find ourselves in moments of expecting our children to arrive at some sort of literary, or even in any other subject. We think they're supposed to be somewhere, and or we start to challenge them because we're confused as to why. Or for myself, just being like, I need to have all these things done. X, Y, and Z must happen, because if not, then I'm falling behind. And then we do this self-sabotage, self-talk, right? And so I've fallen privy to that. And I feel like even right now, I can tell that I'm much calmer, and I'm in a much more like peaceful state that I usually like how I entered into homeschool with. And so I want to continue to like recognize when I am trying to create unrealistic expectations for myself or my children that we don't need to meet. There is that freedom in homeschool for that reason. The next one is negative projections. So that ties into that one. We could get frustrated sometimes and we project our thoughts to our children and not recognizing that when you speak that and you project that onto your kids, it actually attaches to them. And then they start to formulate that that's what they are. And so just praying every day and really taking the time to recognize, what am I speaking over my children? What am I speaking over their education? What am I speaking on where their learning capacity is at? And whether it's frustrating to me or not that they don't get it, that's irrelevant, because at the end of the day, I'm here to mold, shape, and build them and continue to give them the space to do that. So I really am saying goodbye to that, not interested in it returning. And then lastly is excess does not mean excellence. And it kind of goes back up to what I said. I was welcoming less is more. This is the flip side of why. Excess does not mean excellence. I don't want you to ever think that by you watching me on this channel that you feel that you need to have any of the things that I have. I love sharing it with you because, hey, it's working and I love it and I'm excited about it. And I'm always going to come from that approach of like, hey, we're enjoying this. But is it necessary for you? That's your discernment. And so I pray for that for you as you're watching this, that you discern what you need to take from anything that I ever share. Because I know that all of us can easily feel like we need excess. Our kids need excess time of socialization. They need excess play time and wander outside in nature. They need excess table time. And no, they don't. No, they don't. And it's okay for your child to be bored. Yes, I know a lot of people are not going to like that. But it is okay for them to be bored, because then it allows a space for them to think. And so I am inviting that into my home because it's countercultural for sure. But I don't want to feel like I've got to keep up with supply and demand. I've got to keep up with resource and demand. And really just teaching my children that literally, again, all you have is all you need. If this is what we have for this book, and if it's not in this book, okay, that's okay. Do I have access to internet and we can go ahead and look up something? All the time. Done that so many times where I couldn't find the animal in the books that we had for our resources. So we went and Googled it, or we YouTubed it. We watched a little video. We wrote some facts. We talked about it. Bam, did it. But it's never that I've got to keep reaching outside of my home for the things that I don't need. And that's the same of here on YouTube or social media. Oftentimes we have the answers within ourselves, but we are constantly trying to seek for someone to give us the answer to it all. So that one is really important for me. Like, excess does not mean excellence. It's my kids not having all of the things does not mean that they can't be excellent at who they are and what they're thriving to be and what they're flourishing in. And so I hope that encourages you guys. Again, this is the first part of me talking about what we're welcoming and what we're saying goodbye to. Tomorrow, we will talk all about how I am welcoming my inventory and what does that look like, and then what am I saying, hey, it's not working and we probably won't do again. So check that out tomorrow. If you have any questions about what I shared today, put that down in the comments below. I'd love to answer them as soon as I can. I hope that your homeschooling year is continuing to flourish and have so much beauty in those moments with your littles. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.